welcome to our special coronavirus show called Living with COVID. Why do we call it this? Well, it's been many months since the world started battling this global pandemic, and we now know that we have perhaps a protracted battle on our hands. Here in India, as cases continue to rise every single day, with daily cases now at alarming figures, we're looking at ways in which to keep safe while we continue with our lives and our livelihoods. And to do that, we're joined by medical experts every single day who tell us what to do to make ourselves safe and yet get all the medical help we need and get on with our lives in the best way possible. Well, joining us on the show today, we have Dr. Jayaprakash Sai, who's an MD physician and consultant with the Apollo Sugar Clinic, and Dr. Sai joins us from Hyderabad. We're also being joined by Dr. Lakshmi Lavanya Alapati, and she's with the American Institute of Diabetes and Endocrinology, and she's also joining us from Hyderabad. Thank you very much indeed, doctors, for being here today and for answering the many questions that our viewers have. So let me begin by asking both of you the question that we really put to all our medical experts. Patients are right now very apprehensive about visiting a clinic or a hospital for physical checkups, and because they feel that the risk of infection right now is very high. Now, what safety protocols are observed in your clinic and hospital to ensure the safety of both patients and doctors? Dr. Lavanya, if you would like to answer that first.
Thank you, Ankita, for inviting us to the show. I would, welcome all the viewers also, and thank you for watching us. I'm Dr. Lakshmi from Hyderabad. I'm an endocrinologist. So, sorry that we have this pandemic where so many of us are affected right now. 15 lakh Indians are suffering or at least positive with COVID-19, and the rest of us, about 1 crore and 31 and 38 crores, 1.38 crores are actually, waiting to see what goes on. So in that interim, in our practice as a doctor, as an endocrinologist, I have to see my patients with diabetes, PCOD and whatnot, like high blood pressure or hormone or growth or infertility or menses problems. And they can't wait too long, so they have to come to see us in the clinic. So they are in a rush to come back and they want to get their prescriptions filled. So we have to be very careful when they're coming. Please come in with masks on, with personal hygiene, like a hand hygiene sanitizer with you in your pockets or in your handbags. So you are in safe yourself for the patients who are coming in. And when you are coming in, we have our facility with very few staff these days, especially in my clinic. The protocol that I am following is to have one single clinic from 9 to 4 in a continuous pathway, where we have patients coming in with appointments every 20 minutes. So we can actually handle them at ease one by one, so we don't have much waiting time, and we maintain social distancing that way that they don't crowd up. And we have 3 different waiting rooms. One is in the ground floor, one is in the clinic in the outer section, and another one in the inner section who the people are waiting to be seen by the doctors. So we can, once they come in, there's a nurse who's all clad with a PPE because she's in close contact with these patients. So she checks these patients, for their blood pressure, blood sugar, height, weight, and temperature. So she has to maintain her distance by having a PPE, and she has a glove on. For every patient encounter, she has to change the gloves. Every patient encounter, each patient she touches, she has to change her gloves and still again wash her hands every half an hour to 1 hour. And then, once these patients are trialed and they sit in social distancing, any attenders, we are discouraging all the attenders to come inside the clinic. Only one attender per patient, so we have less crowds and we have less risk. So we have guarded our reception area with chairs and guards so that they can't flood to the receptionist. When they have a need, they have to maintain that 3 feet distance, and they have to give their credit card or cash with some distance on board. And then when they are about to see me, I'm also in a fully, a lab coat, and then I have my mask on, and then I have my gloves on. For every patient, we change our gloves. Because I'm an endocrinologist, I don't, like a gynecologist, I'm not in such a close contact with them. I'm not seeing my patients in my regular cabin. I'm seeing them in a conference hall where we have a lot of distance there. Like in the conference hall, I have more than 5 feet distance from the door to me and between them. So I'm using a voice amplifier to talk to them because I have a mask on and I can't have my voice fatigue. So I have to use a sanitizer with every time I touch their phone. So most patients are bringing their reports or they're on their phone. So when I have to touch their personal gadget like a phone, I have to actually sanitize my hands and then touch their phone and again sanitize my hands because I've touched their phone. So it's very important to maintain those little important, and then also my lab technicians and the pharmacist has to wear a PPE or at least a mask and gloves, and each time they have to dispose the gloves whenever they're in contact with the patient in a physical way. So these are the steps we need to take in place very importantly, and there is no need for
That
the
sounds very,
security
very
person.
thorough indeed, Dr. Lakshmi. And these are good points for all of us actually to focus on, because when you talk about sort of contamination coming from the phone, that's an object that we're touching all through the
Yes.
day. So, I mean, it isn't just for doctors. Everybody needs to be careful about
Yes.
that. But it's very reassuring to hear the very detailed steps and procedures that you've laid out. I want to just take this to Dr. Sai as well. Can you explain how you manage patient queries, Dr. Sai? When the patient actually comes to the hospital for a checkup, what kind of protocols do you follow considering the safety aspect?
The patient takes an appointment. The next day patient comes. Whatever the attender sits within the car only. Only the patient comes to the clinic. From outside clinic, our nurse will be there, where they check the temperature. And the patient walks in. She or he takes, basically we take around 3 to 5 minutes because I use more of electronic medical record. So we know before only the patient complete profile. So I give my prescription in the EMR. The patient gets a photostat of the prescription in the phone. Once the patient needs medicines, we link that prescription to the pharmacy. So there is no way of direct contact and patient, and physically also we don't touch the patient. Only we take the history before visiting our clinic only. So we make sure that there is no active case. Like we basically ask if they have a travel history, if they have any issue of fever or any the area of the zone, and we generally give who are very stable patients who needs only diabetes control, who are like above 65 age. We try to contact through video conference call. I try to connect to them and advise on the phone.
Right. Once again, very reassuring to hear all of this. Dr. Lakshmi, if I can just quickly come back to you, what about the physical clinic itself? Are there ways in which to make that space, the entire space, sort of sterile and sanitized, and doctors' consulting chambers, are they sterilized on a daily basis, an hourly basis? What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, we are actually using the hypochloric acid, 15% of it diluted in 75% of water, having a spray, like a manual spray, and then we are actually disinfecting our chair knobs, door knobs, chair handles, door knobs, and all these surfaces, the reception counter, the lift, elevators, and everything, at least once in every half an hour to 1 hour, depending on how our staff are having the rotation time. And then we are using a humidifier kind of a thing. It is like a nebulizer machine sort of a thing where we are using a sterlium-based ether alcohol, sterlium, and hypochloric acid in 1/3 of the concentrations each to use it as a humidifier kind of a thing. So it is like a aerosol method. It just disinfects the air in the clinic. So it's like a fan which keeps going on. We use that every hour. We use it for 15 minutes every hour. So that's kind of an air purifier with a disinfectant, and then we use a physical disinfectant or by the hand. We take a scrub and then we use a alcohol rub on all the most important surfaces, which are the chair knobs, the tables, my stethoscope. It could be my phone and the reception phone, the swiping machine, the credit card swiping machine.
So, Dr. Lakshmi, let me ask you, what precautions can women take if they're suffering from PCOS to manage their condition during COVID, and are they in fact more susceptible to infection?
Genetic condition, which can be genetic, and it can again get worse with lifestyle changes such as obesity, weight gain, stress, and improper eating and high calorie food. Sometimes the girls are lean, but still they have a lot of insulin resistance. which takes them forward to have a full-blown symptoms of PCOD, which could be infertility, diabetes, atherosclerotic heart disease, high blood pressure, and irregular menses. And these girls are very prone for obesity. So overall, all this disease spectrum, they have an increased tendency to have cytokine rush or insulin resistance markers, which in fact decrease a person's ability to have a low immunity. So they have a little higher mortality rate, and maybe they have a higher tendency to acquire the infection if there is a if they have acquired the infection from somebody through droplets. The infection may not just go away easily; it may establish and it may cause more problems to these girls with PCOD. So we need to be very cautious with PCOD amongst COVID-19 infections.
What about symptoms of a diabetes patient, Dr. Sai? Can these be managed at home, and when should they actually plan to visit the clinic?
Most of the diabetic patients, diabetes can be managed by diet in home-based regular exercise, even home-based yoga or meditation also. And if they are in touch with their doctor, unless they have any specific symptoms like high sugar levels, I think if they are in touch with the doctor and if they're in a regular follow-up with the doctor, a diabetic patient can be managed at home safely during this COVID-19 pandemic. Only thing is that glycemia is very important. A simple glucometer having in home itself is the greatest asset. They no need to go to lab and check the blood sugars. If the self-monitoring of blood glucose is done in home, even a BP monitor is there in home, and if they check their values and report to the doctor, I think the doctor can adjust the medication and manage safely. Unless they have any active infection, they need to consult the doctor or visit a nearby hospital. Self-monitoring of blood glucose is very important, and being in touch with a regular family physician also helps. And of course, most of the diabetic patients are well managed during COVID-19 because they are eating more of healthy food, because they are eating more green veggies, fruits, and timing of the food also is regular. I think diabetes can be managed at home.
Yes, indeed. All right, we will take a very quick break at this point, but when we come back, we'll talk about living with COVID in the sense of actually, in some cases, having to leave the house, go to workplaces and offices, and the challenges that they bring and how to counter them.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.
So as the unlockdown is in effect in many parts of the country with fewer and fewer restrictions, even in states which are now seeing rising numbers, what are the protocols that need to be followed and how do we keep ourselves safe? Dr. Lakshmi, what about letting household helps and other people into the house now? For instance, we need plumbers, we need electricians, we need people giving us deliveries. All of these people are at least coming to our doorsteps, if not actually entering our houses again. Are there extra precautions that you feel are advisable?
Yes, certainly so, because these the help is going to come from outside, whether it would be a driver or a lab technician or a household a cook or a housemaid. So these are the people who are going to come from outside, and they are from a little lower socioeconomic status, so they would use public transportation. Most of us, I mean, during this day and age, all of us are using public transport for the convenience also and for the low cost also. So public transport will be a big hassle because there'll be a lot of touching the surface and all that. So once they come home, they reach our office or home, I would prefer that they should be able to wash up properly, wash hands, and use a face mask. And again, maybe wear like a gown or something. Not exactly a PPE, but something like a gown sort of a thing which can be disposed every day, or have another pair of clothes here, like a scrubs or something like a long lab coat kind of a thing which they can wear at that place when they're working, and again wash it and hang it while they're going away. So something like that, an easy method can be adopted. So they have a full protective covering, a clothing cover when they are in their workplace, which could be a house or a kitchen or a hospital or a lab or something like that. So, and then keep their hands clean. As soon as they come, they should wash off their hands, and wash their feet also if they're coming from outside, leave the footwear outside, sanitize their hands properly, and have that mindset that we are coming from an outside place to another household or another organization, and we need to be careful not to spread the virus from elsewhere to this particular household. So that is the basic mindset that we need to educate these people on the day one after the unlocking starts, and then we need to go from there because we can't keep them away for too long. We have to get the economy rolling and get the convenience of the entire thing while still fighting with COVID-19.
Right. Dr. Sai, this question is for you. What about when a diabetes patient has to return to working in an office? Should there be extra precautions being taken then by a diabetes patient?
Diabetic patient, which is whatever the government has given recommendations, not only for a diabetic patient, even for everybody, there's some basic rules. Social distancing is very important. I prefer, if a diabetic patient is going to the office, to use a disposable 3-ply medical mask. Once he is out of the house, wearing that medical mask, once he is entering the house, before only he disposes properly the mask, so that at least the mask which he is wearing is properly used. And hand sanitizing is also very important. Soap is very important in the office, wherever. And he has to see that a diabetic patient see that social distancing is very important. And he should not get into this crowded places, more supermarkets, as much as possible, he can visit his office, maintain social distancing, hand washing, and wearing a disposable medical mask will protect him. And he himself has to see that having a good immunity is also very important.
Right.
If he follows the basic things, I think we can defeat COVID-19. There is no need to panic. The more we have panic, the more immunity levels are coming down. There's so much of information about COVID-19. I think the very important part, it's more of assurance, self-confidence. We should know what are the precautions. If you become more panic and you're in a fear, you're going out, COVID-19 will come to you. Only thing is we have to see that what are the important
overload. There certainly is an information overload, and I think people who are constantly reading up or researching are getting a bit panic-stricken. So it's good to have that reassurance, Dr. Sai. But may I ask you very specifically whether you have any advice you could share with diabetics to manage their blood pressure at this time?
That's a very important question. I am seeing a lot of my patients when I do teleconsultation, their sugars are coming down. Only I have issue of controlling blood pressure because of the stress, anxiety levels, panic has been created. So what I see that I recommend them to have a BP monitor at home. And if they are regularly monitoring and be in touch with their family doctor, just adjustment in the medication. Of course, there is a lot of counseling needed, because if you give assurance to the patient, 20 to 30% the BP levels come down. If you make them panic, because there is so much of information, diabetic patient or a hypertensive patient with high risk during COVID-19. So he is in a fear sitting in home only. So we need to see that just maintaining a good immunity and maintaining yourself self-isolation and staying at home during this pandemic situation. I think BP can be controlled if he monitors and he sees that his other lifestyle factors like reducing salt and sometimes meditation, yoga, good music also reduces the anxiety levels, because the more we are depressed, the BP levels going up. Counseling is very important.
Right. So the more we are depressed, the more our anxiety levels go up. There's a direct fallout on blood pressure as well, and it's very important to try and control that. So that's good advice from the doctors there to keep that under control. Dr. Lakshmi, let me ask you, a lot of COVID patients also seem to be presenting with extremely high sugar levels. Can you explain why that happens, and does it actually happen to people who already have diabetes, or is this a sort of symptom of COVID-19? How would you explain this phenomenon?
So COVID-19 is a situation where there's a high cytokines being produced by the virus coming and attacking our body, and our body taking the defense mechanism forward. So cytokine rush is really high. So that's what causes the cardiopulmonary effect of COVID in certain patients, where it really goes into the high pitch, where they have to get admitted in the hospital. They have to take steroids, oxygen, antibiotics, fluids, all that stuff, immune modulators, hydrochloroquine, and all the other medications. They're on a ventilator, let's say, or they're, getting ready to be going on a ventilator. It's a high level of stress, high cytokines, medications inducing, medications are also inducing high sugars. Those steroids and the antibiotics and all the IV lines which carry the sugar water, dextrose related waters are as diluents for those antibiotics. So basically it is very high cytokine rush and stress which is increasing their sugars to a very high level. So that is why they are beating with high diabetic ranges during COVID infection and right after also.
All right. Okay, thank you very much indeed, doctors, for all of those reassurances from you and indeed the advice you've given to our viewers today. That was very useful indeed as we continue our battle against the global pandemic, but also now choose to live with COVID. Thanks very much for watching.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.
Empowering girls in their journey from classroom to boardroom. Presenting 25% scholarship for all girls students. Log on to upes.ac.in.
6th and 7th August is Amazon Prime Day. Discover the joy of great deals. Amazon Prime Day, 6th and 7th August. Join Prime today.